5, 6, 7, 8. All right, everybody. Welcome back to the 5678 podcast. It's your boy Brandon, aka DJ 5678. Happy to be back with you guys. I just want to take a second to, first of all, thank the Granada LA for hosting myself and my next guest here, who I will introduce in just a moment. But before that, I also want to apologize to all of you because I know it's been a few weeks since I have put an episode out. I've had a lot of personal stuff going on in my life, and so I just needed some time to kind of focus on me. So that all said, I'm back. The show is back, and we've got some great guests coming up for you, leading right up into the LA Summer Bachata Festival, and I hope to get some great content there as well. This week's guest is Miss Jo Quinoñes.
Hola, hello.
Happy to see you. Thank you for being on the show today.
Happy to be here.
If you're, a part of the LA dance scene, you know that Jo has been around for a very long time.
Very long time.
She was the former partner with Vince, the Bachata Prince.
Yeah, that guy.
AKA Invincible. So she's got a lot of knowledge and information and just, I'm sure, a lot of great stories about the LA dance scene. So that said, welcome to the podcast.
Now let's do it. Let's dance. No, thank you. Thank you very much.
How did you get into the dance community?
Well, the way that I got into the dance community was, just a little background of myself, is I started dancing when I was 5 years old with ballet and jazz and hip hop and all that good stuff. At the age of 19, I started doing ballroom dancing. So my boss at that time, she told me to go out and see what the salsa people are doing in the clubs, not just in the ballroom world. So I started going out to the clubs. And from there, I met one of my first directors, oh my gosh, was Abel Peña, actually. I saw him in club somewhere, and he had a team, and I started joining that team, and then eventually I started seeing the LA Congress. So about 99, 2000 is when I started getting into the dance scene via way of ballroom, clubs, dance team. There it was. And then the rest, here I am.
Okay, so 1999, okay.
Yeah. 1999, age 19. You can do the math on that one.
Okay. Obviously, you said that you started when you were a kid with, I assume, more traditional, like...
Ballet folclórico, puertorriqueño.
Okay.
I lived in Puerto Rico. I'm actually half Dominican, half Puerto Rican. I know that you probably didn't know that, so that's why I wore this shirt today.
I actually did know that.
Yeah, I heard Vince's podcast. But yeah, so I was born in Philly, but raised between the two islands. So there are times where I was going to school in Puerto Rico, but the summers I would spend with my family in DR. That was, the culture has always been inside me 100%. Dancing since I was small, dancing with my family at parties, them making me dance. So I always had that kind of fire of the bachata and actually no, not bachata, merengue and salsa. That's what we in the house listen to. That's pretty much what it is. It's ballet, jazz, and ballroom, and the rest of the Latin stuff, just whatever's inside me, and of course taking classes here and there and stuff like that.
Got it. For a lot of people that dance here in Los Angeles, they tend to find it later in life, right? And it's not necessarily their culture. Mm-hmm. So can you talk a little bit about the cultural aspect of it for you and your family, and how it's more of a lifestyle rather than just a dance?
What's funny about that is my family was not into bachata. They were the other type of class of bachatero or Dominicans that didn't like bachata. So yeah, the only time that I really listened to bachata when I was in DR was at the clubs, at the mercado, when you would go out. But my family, they did not listen to it. They listened to merengue, some salsa, but it was merengue all the way. Bachata came later on when it started coming out here. I mean, of course, I danced it over there. I danced it on the island. It was all good. But then I came out here. And then it got introduced to me later on when Vince actually started doing his thing with Alejandro, and at Stevens and doing their thing, showcasing it and finally bringing it out in the open. So that's when I actually started getting into it. I only social danced it. It was only on the island that I danced it. Out here, never. Once they brought it out, then it became a thing. Once it became a thing, then I was like, you know what? I can do this. I want to do this. It's part of me. But when I saw how different everybody was doing it, to me, it was a culture shock. I was like, wait a minute, Dominicans don't dance it like this. But if this is what we're going to do, then okay, here's what we're going to do. So my bachata became very, how can I say, it became more structured as opposed to just dance.
Right.
And so when it became more structured, like you have to make sure there's rules to it. So now all of a sudden, bachata is not just this dance that I used to dance just a lo loco, just, en el parque, ahí, lo que sea. It became a thing that I had to study because I have to break it down to people.
Right.
Now there's counts. Now there's music. Now there's, I have to listen to, and now there's taps and steps, and there's a lot now. So it became, for me, unfortunately, the inner love that I had for bachata kind of took a backseat because now I had to study it in a way, kind of almost dissect it.
Yeah.
And so it was like, okay, here I am. And so I started teaching it so much that I noticed that it started evolutionizing it during the time that I was doing it. It started, becoming a little bit more sensual. It started becoming a little bit more urban, way more urban. That's what I did with Vince, is I did more of the urban hip-hop mixed with bachata. I feel like being out here on the West Coast, so far away from the island and so far away from the actual people,
Right.
I feel like I lost a little bit of the culture myself. Uh-huh. So I've been trying to get it back. And so I love this new wave of original traditional bachata coming back in, because I feel like now people are getting a huge dose of Dominican Republic, not just bachata, like actually the culture. People are going to DR just to dance bachata, and then they fall in love and they never want to come back.
Right.
They want to go get married over there and have a family and do their thing. And bachata has become this gateway of even travel, tourism for Dominican Republic, which I think is an awesome thing to do. I just wish more people understood that there is a culture behind the dance. It's not just a dance.
Right.
It's not just this thing that people made up. Right now it feels that way, but back in the day, it wasn't like that. It was very, very tight, very, not even turns.
Right.
And so now that it's become more Hollywood, I feel like the culture of it has been taken away. But like I said, I am very glad that the traditional side is coming back in. And by the way, I would love to call it bachata and just bachata.
Yeah.
Of course. But I also have to respect that I didn't bring it. I didn't come up with that. So that means that if somebody else is coming up with a different style and they have a name for it, then that is their style. That's the name of it. So yes, there's urban, there's modern, there's sensual, there's bachatango. You know what I'm saying? There's other styles in bachata, but should it be just called bachata? For sure. But because there are so many different styles, then I call it traditional bachata, and that's why I call it traditional bachata.
Yeah. And how do you feel about the evolution of all those other styles?
I do love things evolving. I love when things take a turn for a different thing. I love when things are turned into, or even mix. I love mixing things. That is one thing that I love. The issue that I see is that they've taken the dance so far away
from what it originally was.
Like, I'm talking far. I'm talking even the traditional right now.
Right.
The traditional right now, all of it is that so much footwork. But let me tell you, there's cha-cha-cha in there. There's little tappy taps in there. There's hip-hop in there. There's so many other moves that are now being put into traditional, that now even traditional is taking a totally different look. Like I said, when I was 15 going to the clubs, I was dancing with these awesome leaders that would just do a basic in place and maybe a box. Maybe they got away from me and they did a turn. Pero el sabor, the flavor that they had, I didn't need turns.
Yeah.
I didn't need all these other steps. Bachata has definitely evolved, even in the traditional sense. I just wish that more people would understand that the sensual and the modern and all that stuff and the bachatango does have a base, and that is the traditional way of doing it. But they don't want to hear that.
Yeah. what brought you to LA?
What brought me to LA was my stepdad's company back in 89. Yeah, in 89, my mom and my stepdad moved out here. We were only supposed to be here for a year, and here I am still. That's what brought me out here. Once I was able to start going out, the only clubs that I would want to go to were LA, because it's LA, you know? So the first club that I went to, oh my gosh, it was such a hole in the wall. Like, I should have been carrying a gun or something to walk to the club. It was crazy, but it was called El Castillo Número 3 in Riverside. Mm. Yeah, like I had to say it like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like, it was like,
far.
It's like deep in Riverside by UCR, by University Avenue, and I was 18 years old, and I just walked in, and I was like, what am I walking into? Now, mind you, I had gone to all these clubs before with salsa and bachata, but out here in LA or Southern California, it was totally brand new. The movie Dance With Me had just come out, so everybody wanted to be Vanessa Williams. Everybody wanted to dance with Cheyenne. So it was just like, oh my gosh, there was a huge wave of salsa. And so when I started going out, I started noticing that, yep, if you want to go salsa dancing, you have to start going out to those clubs in LA. So I started from Riverside, just driving every single time I could to LA, going to the congresses, going to the festivals that Albert Torres used to put on. Steven's Steakhouse that was my house. Like, I was there every Sunday, kind of sneaking in, but don't tell nobody, don't tell Jimmy. Anyway, but yeah, and so I started noticing that the older I got, the more I started moving out towards LA. If you're in California and you're in the entertainment business, you want to go to LA. Also, I wanted to be an actress back in the day, so LA and Hollywood always called my name.
In terms of your teaching journey, how did that start? How did that come about?
That started with the ballroom. There was an ad. My stepdad said, "You better get a job, or else you're out of the house." And I was like, "Oh, I don't want to be out of the house, so I get a job." And I looked around. I didn't want just a regular job. And all of a sudden, this one popped up and said, "Do you love to dance? And would you love to teach people?" And I was like, "Yeah, I already know how to do that. Let's go." And so I went for an interview. I got the job right then and there. I came back that same night to start training. Like I said, that was in 98. In 98. So it took me a whole year to kind of get used to it. Luckily, they trained me very well to be able to teach both leads, follows, beginner, intermediate, advanced levels, all kinds of dances. So with that, I was able to take those tools and see what they're doing out in the salsa, like in the streets, in the clubs, and then kind of mash those two together and, make a name for myself. I actually started teaching at Rio Grande in Montclair on a Wednesday with Deshani, oh my gosh, in 99. And I started assisting him. When he was tired of it, he said, "Do you want it?" And I was like, "Just the class for myself? Like me teaching?" He's like, "Yeah." I was like, "Okay." So I took it on. And that was around, I want to say 2000 maybe. And I took on his class at Rio Grande, and that became my class for years. And I was still working at the dance studio. So I still had those two, club style teaching with a ballroom style teaching. I'd really try to mesh those things. I tried to make people understand that even though it's a free-flowing dance, there can still be structure in it. And so I started doing that. Once I partnered up with Vince is when my career in the scene took off. I was with a partner before, and we were doing more theater shows. So we were doing a lot of traveling, but it was only in theater shows. When it came to the scene, we did have a Phoenix Dance company, which started in 2002. We actually just celebrated our 22-year anniversary. I always had a foot in the scene, and I always had a foot in the studio, and I always had a foot in the clubs. So my teaching had somewhere always to go.
Yeah.
But after I got with Vince is when we really started traveling overseas. We started going international. We went everywhere. It was amazing in the 10 years that we danced.
What was your favorite place that you visited?
I want to say Singapore.
Okay.
Singapore, it was so, everybody's so sweet. Everybody's so eager. Actually, everywhere I went, everybody's so eager to learn. I feel like places out of California are very eager to learn and thirsty to learn, as opposed to, I want to look cool. And so that, as a teacher, and especially the kind of teacher that I am, which is, again, very structured. I still want to have fun, though, but I am very structured. I don't just, teach out of my butt, but I plan everything. And so when I have students that want the same, they learn the same, they want the structure, they understand that there's a beginning, there's a stage, there's levels to this thing. Once they understand that, my teaching ability just goes through the roof. It's like a ray of sunshine just hitting me, just because, again, they don't get this. This is not their culture. This is not their dance. I mean, it's not even their dance here. I understand that. But in Singapore, it's even further, to be able to show them a little piece of what we do back in the island and back in the States, because they love California or LA styling. It was just fun to watch and get that energy from everybody out in Singapore. Yeah.
Okay. In your opinion, what goes into a great instructor or a really good instructor?
I got to choose my words wisely.
Or don't.
No, I feel that I used to be one of those instructors that were very serious about stuff when I was teaching it. Did I make jokes? Yeah, for sure. I try to keep it fun, try to keep it light. But I took my role as an instructor very seriously. I had to take a few years off to go, okay, maybe I'm too serious, because I noticed that a lot of people also weren't coming here for, like I keep saying, structure. They weren't coming here just to get yelled at. They were coming here to have fun. So I started having to look at what does make a good instructor, what does make you a good instructor. And I think, especially after the pandemic, I had to learn that these people are people and they're going through a lot of shit, as am I. But they come here to learn something. They come here to release stress. They come here to meet new people. So what I think a good instructor is someone who understands why that person came through those doors in the first place, and then knows how to take them through the journey that they need to in order to get the goal they want to get. It's not just, notice I didn't say anything about how many steps you know. It's not about that. Steps you can learn on YouTube. Go ahead. You know how many people are, YouTube learners? But someone who's a great teacher is able to get that student, understand why they're there, and then use that reasoning to make them a great dancer. So moves and technique and all that good stuff, yes, a plus. But to me, that's the first thing, is knowing why a student is doing what they're doing or why they come to you. After that, of course, experience, knowing how to speak, knowing what to say, knowing what you're saying, your material, your words, the background of the dances that you're teaching, the music, there's a whole list.
Yeah.
That I think.
Absolutely. First of all, in all your time, like you said, to start off the interview, you were half Puerto Rican and half Dominican. So I got to ask, do you prefer salsa or bachata?
Cha-cha-cha.
Oh, okay.
No, you know what? Okay, so I have a rule. I have a rule in my car that I do not listen to bachata or salsa. And the reason why I don't is because, again, like I said earlier, it's taken me, I take it so seriously that I really try to go into what I'm doing. And so the culture part about it kind of goes out the window. So at work, when I listen to salsa all the time or bachata all the time, I almost can't turn it off in the car. So if I put it on the car, I'll start choreographing, or I'll start, that pattern that I did it turn out right? Or I wonder if they learned it correctly, and so I can't listen to it. I don't enjoy it. I start working.
Yeah.
My brain starts working. Merengue, a lot of merengue. I listen to a lot of merengue. Merengue, cha-cha-cha. As far as Latin goes, those are my two faves. And then after that, we've got our reggaeton, and then, but yeah, that's the order. Merengue, cha-cha-cha, everything else.
Got it. Okay.
Maybe I'm too mixed. That's the problem.
I wasn't expecting that one. Talk a little bit about your partnership with Vince, right? Because, there's a lot of up-and-coming dancers that they want to take their career to the next level. And a lot of times they're out here looking for partnerships or trying to connect with someone so that they can, grow with somebody and go to that next level. What were some of the things that went on in your mind when you decided to partner up with Vince?
You said it. You said grow and go on to that next level. That right there. He actually, we were having lunch or dinner, I don't know. We were eating, and there was his partner at that time for the company that we worked at, Ashley. She was with us. We were eating, and all of a sudden Vince starts talking about, hey, so Singapore reached out to me and said they want me to go and teach them. So Ashley, since you're my partner right now, would you like to go? And I overheard them talking, and I said, and Ashley, she was like, sure, whatever. She wasn't really into the dancing thing as much as like we were. Like she had a 9 to 5 and everything, but her dancing was like her hobby, her side thing. But me, I was like, hey, wait a minute. I saw that opportunity and I went, what? And he was like, oh yeah, I just invited her to go to Singapore because they asked me to. And I said, you know what? I think I should go with you. I don't think Ashley's the one for you. I think I should. And then I was like, Ashley, are you cool with that? And she was like, okay.
Wow.
And the rest is history, So that's what happened. I danced with Vince one, and the reason why I basically cock-blocked it was because I danced with him one time at Stevens, and the connection was insane. Mind you, I'm coming from ballroom, which the connection is different. I'm coming from the islands, which is different. Now I'm coming from the clubs, totally different. So I have all these three things or these three ideas of what a leader is. And then all of a sudden I danced with him, and I felt like all those amazing leads were put into this one kid. He was just a kid. And I was like, what? Like he was, and his moves and his like flavor into things. And I was like, what are you? The connection. The minute that he gave me that inside turn, and then he didn't let me go after the inside turn, I didn't go, I didn't lose my balance. I was like, oh my gosh, no way, you've got to be my partner. I had just basically separated from a partnership of 9 years. I was with him for 7 years romantically, and then 2 more years after that, still partners. So a 9-year partnership. I mean, I knew when he was going to sneeze, you know what I'm saying? So for me to find that again, I knew I was never going to find that again. And then this little Cinderella came up, and I'm telling you, I was like following everything. He was leading everything, and I was like, oh my God. So I did that. I basically put myself in her shoes, and I was like, nope, I'm going with you. We went to Singapore, and we had to come up with routines, obviously. We had to come up with so many things, and, teaching styles. And of course, coming from where I come from and him not really teaching so much, I don't want to take credit, but I did teach him how to teach a little bit. Yeah. And, of course, I don't, Vince is Vince, but as far as me influencing him on how to teach, I did that.
Yeah.
Him influencing me on how to stop being so structured, that was him. Okay. And so we, yin and yang, I feel like we balanced each other out.
Yeah.
And so the partnership became so solid that there were times where we didn't even have to practice. It was just, you got it, good. And we just did it. I feel that nowadays, partnerships don't do that because no one is giving the time to the partnership in order to have that connection. Right now, people are partnering up because, hey, I had a good dance with you like I did with Vince, but with Vince, I cultivated it. And so did he. We said, okay, we're going to do this. And it was Joe and Vince and Joe, let's go. I feel like today it's about, let's put a routine together, let's see where it takes us, and let's get into a fight. I hate you. I don't want to dance with you anymore. Bye. Next.
Right.
And I understand, that's how the world has become. But because of that lack of communication, that lack of connection, And I'm talking either physical, mentally, emotionally. You have to become homies. Like, this is your bestie. This is not just a dance partner. And I feel like so many couples don't have that. And so when you see their show or when you see them teach together, they're not one.
Feels a little hollow, yeah.
Yeah, it just feels like I'm doing my thing, you're doing yours. And it just so happens we're doing it in the same room.
Yeah.
With the same costumes, you know? And so I feel that partnerships nowadays are geared towards likes, towards what's the fastest way we can grab the attention. Because one, the attention span's not there anyway from the public. So I feel like artists now or dancers now have to resort to the cheap tricks, and that is showing stuff or showing, and by showing stuff I mean booties or boobies or bodies or tricks and dips and fancy stuff. It's never about the dance anymore.
Yeah.
It's about how many likes can I get, how many views can I get. And so they don't cultivate their partnership, they don't cultivate the dance because they move on so quickly. I just feel like I haven't seen a couple that I go, oh wow. A couple that I can tell you right now that if I saw today, Tito and Tamara. Obviously they've been married, but the energy on stage is something different. I also draw influence from not the salsa and bachata scene so much. I do draw influence from musicals and a lot of Disney and a lot of stuff like movies, dance shows, other dance genres. That's where I usually get my influence from, and I feel like everybody is just watching each other dance. And so because they're not thinking outside the box and they just keep looking at each other, there's no outside influence coming in. So everybody is not only looking the same, feeling the same, sounding the same.
Yeah.
There's no real growth in the scene. It's just, what can I do now and where am I going next?
Yeah.
So I don't know if that made any sense.
It did. You touched on a few things that I want to make sure that we don't gloss over. First of all, you talked a little bit about social media. Mm-hmm. So I want to just kind of get your opinion on that wave and how you've seen that sort of change, because obviously when you started back in 99, there was no social media. So now
there's a VCR.
Right. So now that, social media is a highly prevalent part of getting your name out there, I just want to get your opinion and your thoughts on that dynamic. And then the other piece that you touched on as well, which kind of goes into that, is you kind of talked a little bit about the over-sexualization of the dance, mm-hmm. and how people tend to rely heavily on that to mm-hmm. garner attention, which I guess we can talk a little bit about it. I feel that it works against you when you do that. I'll give you an example. I saw a video a few weeks ago. It was this girl and this guy dancing, somewhere down in South America. Mm-hmm. The girl she made herself look like she was probably about 15 or 16. Mm-hmm. And if you go to her profile, she's clearly older than that. Mm-hmm. But she was wearing basically nothing. She was dancing with another guy who was, fully clothed, dressed like a normal human being, like I am right now. And it just kind of got me thinking, like, what is the point of this? Like, where are they going with this? Right? Yeah. Obviously gave them a lot of attention because, everybody talked about it for a couple days, right? But at the same time, I said to myself, okay, well, is this going to get you hired at a festival somewhere? The dancing that they were doing, there was nothing special about it. There was nothing spectacular happening. It was just for shock value, it felt. So I'm just wondering what your thoughts on that culture is.
I used to follow a lot of bachata or even salsa dancing pages until it became just women in skimpy clothing. And that was it. There was no about the culture, about the dance. There were no beautiful dancers anymore. Not that they're not beautiful, but let's be real. I'm gonna be real with you. And I don't know if I almost feel like I'm gonna say something illegal, but let's be freaking real. You put on a thong. You put up. Sorry, I'm getting riled up. I need to slow down. You putting on something that is so revealing. You know what attention you're going to get. You know exactly what we're getting. I'm sorry. I'm going to look at your ass the entire time. And it's not because, oh my God, I want it. Or some people do, yeah, for sure. But it's because I don't know what else to do. I can't even admire it anymore because that's what you're putting in my face. And if you look at all of it, If you look at a lot of the dancers that do the thong thing, a lot of their routines and choreography is pointed towards the audience. So they are making it a point for you to have to look at where they're showing you. When did that become, I'm looking at a dancer? Now I'm looking at a body. And so I feel like the sexualization, along with the media, the social media, is what's giving it a bigger platform. And it's funny because I feel like we're in a tug of war. I feel like some people are like, yo, let us release our bodies, and our bodies are free, and free the nipple, and let us show what we got. And then there's, well, you shouldn't be just looking at me just for this. Listen, I know that when I put my boobs out and I know that there's cleavage, trust me, I know that there's gonna be looky-loos. And I probably did it because of that. You know what I'm saying? So why are we all of a sudden shocked or alarmed that somebody said, why are you showing your ass? Like, oh my God, no, I'm dancing. No, you showing your ass and you know it. Let's be real about it.
Yeah.
To me, the body is a beautiful thing. But we have to understand that once you put attention to something, our human brains cannot just go, oh my God. It's like when somebody has a booger in their face. Not that you do, yeah. But when somebody has a booger or something in their teeth and they're talking to you, you can't hear anything. You're just going, oh my God, what do I do? What do I say? Should I tell them? Look at it, it's dingling, it's jiggling to me. You know, so that mentality, I feel like it has to go across the board. Like, if I wear this, what am I looking for? If you want hip motion, put some fringe on your costume then. But you don't have to show me your whole entire hip. You don't have to show me your entire vagina for me to understand that you want to be shown as a beautiful sexually woman, a female or femme, whatever. It doesn't have to be that way. I just feel like it's getting a little bit too crazy. I feel like it's going a little bit too far. Like you said, shock value. I love it, but we have to also understand, like, there's, like, maybe I'm just old. I think I'm just old. You know, that's what it is. I think I might be old, but I have been noticing back in Reno in this January, my costume is very covered. I have a leotard, but we have like tights. You can barely see a little butt cheek, whatever. And I remember so many, and I was worried, you know, that I was like, I'm covering a lot. And I don't look like these other girls. I don't look like these other girl teams, and my girls don't look like the other girls. But something about our costumes made a lot of people, especially men, come up to us and tell us how beautiful we looked and how beautiful we danced. And I was shocked because I'm like, wait, but I wasn't showing my butt. And again, that's just my mentality now of, if I'm not showing, then they don't like me. But I'm old school, so I'm like, forget it. I'm gonna do what I'm gonna do. So when I started realizing that some people are actually kind of tired of seeing this shit. A lot of people are tired, and I was surprised that a lot of the men were telling me, honestly, I'm kind of tired of seeing it. It's like, I've seen it. I feel like everybody's getting desensitized. English. That. I feel like everybody's getting
desensitized
to bodies and stuff, you know, and yo, whoever's doing that, please, you know you have a personality, you know you've got more to offer than a booty. Let's go. Let's do something different. Now, if the dance is a beautiful sexual dance, then go for it. But every dance is going to be sexualized? It doesn't have to be. I haven't seen a fun dance in a long time. I haven't seen a themed one. I haven't seen let me just entertain you. You know who's still doing that is Johnny Vasquez. And again, totally old school. And I understand it's salsa, but I feel like bachata is taking on, like, it's going a different route, and it doesn't have to.
Yeah. Do you think part of it is, well, I know that bachata is extremely new if you want to compare it to like salsa and some of the other dances, right? So I feel like, in a sense, it's still trying to figure out its identity in a way, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. First of all, when I watch shows, I don't really tend to believe that I'm watching bachata most of the time.
Right. No, yeah.
Right.
That goes out the window.
Yeah. Well, we can chat about that in a second, too. I feel that because a lot of people maybe don't necessarily know how to jazz it up so much, because you know, salsa, there's so much happening. You know, if you watch a hip hop show, even there's a ton of stuff happening, right? Bachata, like the actual traditional version of it, you know, tends to be very close and intimate. So that may not necessarily play well on a stage, right? If you're,
I love that you're saying this.
If you're, you know, 200 feet away, right? So I can understand the evolution and then starting to come in and bring the tricks and do, but let's be honest, not everybody has the ability to, you know, be quite as athletic as some other folks. So then what do you rely on? The visual presentation, right?
Exactly. Yes, you do. Yes, I.
And what's the most shocking presentation?
And what's the most shocking that you can do? Yeah, for sure, for sure. No, trust. I even made fun of it in one of my numbers. I had the boys wear fake abs and everything, and they took off their shirt and started grinding and everything. But I remember when Vince and I started putting our videos on YouTube. This sounds so old, like for the first time, and people were commenting, "That's not bachata. That's not bachata." And I was like, "You're right. It's not bachata," and we never claimed it to be bachata. Do we use some bachata music? Sure. But if you watch Vince and I and my routines, a lot of the times we mix in the regular song and then the bachata version song. And then once the bachata version song hits, we might do a 1, 2, 3 tap in there. And then after that, it's whatever the music is telling us to do. Now, that's why we don't pick a traditional song, because you're right. What you just said, that is such a social dance. That is such an intimate dance that to put it on stage, you got to come up with something. Show me a titty or something, you know? And so it's like, what do you do instead of just, you know, doing that? You have to, like you said, you have to come up with the tricks. It sucks that a lot of people, again, don't grow in their dancing. They don't research. They don't get influenced. They don't go to the ballet. They don't go to a musical. They don't go to those other festivals. They just stick to, I'm just going to do the show. And so they don't know what to pull from. They don't have any influence. The only influence they have is the other couple that they just watched going on before them and after. So it's like, where are you guys pulling all this, all this information for your choreography from? I feel that because it's like a little cesspool. Everybody's just like cliquey and just sticking with well, I want to look like that, so I need to do that. And now instead of you being you, now you're just copying. You know how many Daniel and Desirees I've been seeing?
Yeah.
Just with different hairstyles.
Right.
Oh my God. Same way of even dressing. I feel like these days, like nobody has a sense of their own. You know, everybody's, I need to look like that. And again, no knock on, Daniel and Desiree, because I think they're amazing. But if you want to be like them, study it and now make it your own. Do something different, because now we just look the same.
And we already, like I've said this before multiple times over the course of this, but we have a lot of people out here that tend to, latch on to a particular dancer or a couple, and they want to, roll with that and be that. And look, I'm all for people finding inspiration, but like I've said many times before in the show here, we have a Daniel and Desiree. We have a Cornell and Rithika. Yeah. We have an Alamana Nataka, right? So why would any festival hire you over them? Maybe the money, maybe.
That's what I was going to say. The price is right.
However, but the thing is all those artists, they're worth the money.
They are.
Because you know that they're going to bring the draw necessary for them to be, worth it. So I tell people that all the time. They're like, oh man, so-and-so charges so much for the festival. I'm like, yeah, but it's a guaranteed success that they're going to be there now. So they're worth every penny. You can't just bring Joe Blow, and expect that person's going to have the draw, even if they have the same look or style or whatever, if they're a cool dancer. If they don't have the pull, then it really doesn't matter.
I find that interesting too. Why would you want to just look like someone? Why would you just want to be like someone else and not be original? And that's one thing that I always try to do is, yes, do I get inspiration? But as far as like copying like verbatim, it's just it's so taxing. It's so much. And I remember when Vince and I got our routines, I'll say stolen, got our routines copied, and they got all the credit and they won money on a competition. And I was like, wait a minute. My thing was, why go through the process of looking at the video over and over and over just to copy what we're doing exactly, instead of you, oh, that's right, you have no talent. And so I feel like that's what's going on, is instead of people growing and figuring out who they are, they're just copying. And then, here's the kicker. Here's the kicker. I absolutely, my biggest pet peeve is when someone comes to me and tells or asks me to help them dance like a certain person. Mm-hmm. Hey, so I really love Erica Reina. Can you show me how to dance like her? Why don't you go to Erica Reina? Sorry, I'm screaming. See, yeah. that means I'm excited. Why don't you go to the source? But no, they literally just want to copy. Just show me what to do, how to look like this. Instead of, and so I feel like there's nobody wants to put in the work to be their own. Everybody wants to piggyback ride on everybody else's success. Oh, Georgette, that's how she dances and that's how she dresses. That's what I'm going to do. Oh, Alex and Desiree, that's how they do it. That's what I'm going to do. It's cool if that's you.
Right.
But when it's not you, and it's so apparent, and like I said, you now look like them. So, but not in a good way. It's like
the light version.
Yeah, it's exactly. Version. It's like the Wish version. It's like now people are not talking about you like, oh my gosh, it's the next one of them.
Right.
No, they're like, ew, why are you trying to copy them? So but they don't see that. It's easy. I find it a lot easier to make up and create something than it is to try to just sit there and copy someone.
Yeah.
Then again, like I told you before, I feel like I have so many different places to pull from, not just the scene. So I'm able to kind of come up with some crazy shit if I wanted to.
Yeah.
And different, hopefully.
So you mentioned somebody knocking off your routine.
Bitches.
So that kind of leads me to ask you, what is the worst experience that you've had as a professional dancer?
I gotta tell you, being in the studio hours on end, fighting with your partner, not knowing which costume you're gonna, all of that takes so much time and effort for some little shit to come by and just take all that away from me. That's happened to me more than twice, more than 5 times. And I'm really mad about that. Do I want to say names? I sure as hell do, but I won't. I don't know if you've ever had someone cheat on you. I don't know if you've ever had someone, like you walk in and something so shocking. I don't know if you've ever seen a ghost, but that feeling, that gut feeling, or that nervousness, that anxiousness, I felt like someone did the worst thing to me when they did that, when I found out.
Yeah.
And this is all I do. I dance because it's my job, it's my love, it's my passion. I love sharing it, I love giving it, I love taking it. So it's 100% in me.
Yeah.
When you fuck with it, that is when I don't turn pretty. I go berserk. When I saw, it was a couple from, I'm not gonna say Argentina. It was the weirdest thing. I got a message and someone said, what do you think about people using other people's steps? And I said, well, steps? Do you mean like a combination? I see no problem with that. Like if it's like, a one thing,
right.
Whatever, cool. And then they said, well, what about this? And they sent me this couple's video. And it was my entire routine. Look, I'm getting goosebumps. Man. It was the entire routine that I had with Vince. I just remember, like, oh my God, my body's going through something. I just remember feeling like my life just left my body, and I just yelled out, Vince, get in here quick. And I showed him. Oh, he got mad. He was mad. I felt cheated. I felt betrayed. I didn't even know these people.
Had then we find out. Or had they taken your class, or they just
never
saw a video?
They're from another country.
Okay.
They saw our video, I guess, on YouTube. Yeah. And then we start digging, we start researching. They did another one. They took 2. I think they took two of our routines. And they even edited the song the way Vince edited the song. I mean, it was like, I remember seeing Vince on his headphones, on the music, on the computer, editing it to where we wanted,
right.
And so for someone just to come in and just copy that verbatim like that, it was like, and not give us credit. Because we copy, Smooth Criminal up and down, but everybody knows where that's from.
Right.
You straight didn't say anything. And then when we confronted them, we asked your permission and you said yes. that is not true. We don't even know who you are.
Yeah.
And then funny story, a few years after that, we actually went to France with the person that did it, and it was just awkward. Another time, I remember going into Sevilla in Riverside, and I walk in, and from the corner of my eye, I see one of my costumes go by. And I go, wait a minute, I don't remember us doing a show here, or were we scheduled to do a show? Didn't think anything about it. So the shows begin, and all of a sudden this couple comes out, and they announce their name, not my dance company, and then they proceed to do my routine. And I was like, I felt, again, it's like, why are you doing that?
And in LA as well.
Like,
right here.
And then they saw me afterwards, and they were like, oh my God, I'm so sorry I did that. And they apologized afterwards. Another one is one of my ex-teachers did the same thing, took a whole entire routine, made it his own choreography, or made it his own routine, and then taught it at an event and claimed it, literally put choreography by and put his name. Oh my God. And then someone said, I think this is yours. And they send it to me. So trust me, I didn't
realize that was as common as you just kind of described it to be.
I get, that pisses me off. I put in so much work. I stress out about every step I choreograph to. I stress out so much. And for you to take that time away from me, fuck you.
Yeah.
That's my biggest. And that is, as a performer, as anything that you, as a creator, you create something and it's just taken away, like the time that you spend. I don't just sit here and copy people.
Yeah.
So that hurt. Like, look, I'm still shaking. I can't. Oh, you got me in a state of mind.
We're all about the yin yang. So now let's talk about your most favorable experience as a professional dancer.
I'll never forget this, and there are two things. One, I remember it was when I was dancing with Otero Dance Company, doing the theater shows, and we used to go to Palm Springs and do a lot of not homes, but community centers, senior community centers. Mm-hmm. So we would do a lot of the shows there. And I remember after one of the shows, we would always do meet and greet. There was this lady in a wheelchair, and she rolled up to me. That sounded like a joke, but it wasn't. She rolled up to me and said, "That was beautiful. I compliment you, blah, blah. If I had legs, my wish is to be able to dance like you." And I was like, what? And I was surrounded by all the other dancers, but she picked me. And when she said that, it wasn't oh, wow, I'm so great. No, it was, whoa, I made someone feel that way. Just by me doing what I do, I can make you feel like this. And she was like, I used to be a dancer, and I felt the dance through watching you. And I was floored. And that's when I realized a lot of what we do is not just for us. And as a performer, we need to understand that we're not just doing it for us. We're doing it for people. We're doing it for the people, the audience. The audience are the ones that are looking at us. We're taking their time away from their lives to look at us. So why shouldn't we give them something in return, whether it's a feeling, whether it's a tear, whether it's a smile, whether it's that was great, something, some emotion. And the other good part in my career was Albert Torres believing in me. Like, that was a huge deal. We would have talks, and he would tell me, "Hey, you need to get your shit together." And I was like, huh? Okay. You and Vince, you need to get your shit together. You guys have a lot of talent. You guys have and he would just build me up. But he wouldn't build me up to knock me down. He would build me up for him to be able to say, look at this wonderful person. Look at this wonderful couple. So that told me, people are watching me. On top, on the bottom, next to me, everybody's watching me. In this scene, it's so small. It's so small. You have to be careful what you do, what you say, who you do. You got to be careful with everything, you know what I'm saying? Everything gets out. Everything gets out. And not just in the personal sense, but even in the professional sense. And so once I started realizing that it's not an egotistical job, that I'm actually I'm doing a service for people. I've actually had a few people, which is still crazy to me, tell me that I saved their lives, that because of me, they didn't kill themselves. That's huge. That tells me that I have a big responsibility, and it's not just teaching a step here and there. there's something in this scene, there's something in this whole dance community so much bigger than ass, tits, and just steps. So much bigger. And we're not tapping into that. How many people have gone through a lot of mental illness? They need dance. But instead, we're over-sexualizing the dance. Instead, we're trying to
Monetize.
Monetize, there it is.
There you go.
English again. Monetize the dance. Where's the community aspect of it? And so those amazing moments in my career are the ones that keep me kind of going. Even though I want to quit, there's times where I take on too many of people's negativity. I take it on.
Yeah.
And that puts a toll on me. I try to use dance to either take it off of me or take it off of them and just bring joy. And that's why I keep coming in.
Yeah, I mean, I mentioned it while we were briefly off the air. You know, I respect folks like you and Alejandro and Leslie and all these people that have been doing this for such a long time because, you know, like I said, for me, I mean, as a dancer in the bachata community, I've been around for only 8 years. But, you know, I've been...
That's a long time.
Yeah, but I've been, you know, teaching for the last, 3 or 4, 3-ish, I guess. And, you know, like I said, like last night, I'm driving into the studio and I'm just like, you know, I probably would prefer to be at the house right now.
Yep.
But you know what? Here I am. I'm going to give it my best. And then you get there and you do your thing. And then all of a sudden it's like, I'm glad I went. And I'm glad I'm still doing it.
Yeah, I also take it as... It's a what?
It gets overwhelming.
It does get very overwhelming. But I also think that instead of me taking a step back and just bitching and complaining about it, let me try to at least fix or help with what I can do. You know, I'm not going to just roll along with the punches. I'm a loud mouth when it comes to, especially when it comes to like violence in the scene or sexual assault in the scene. But if I stop, then who's gonna teach the people that I'm teaching what I'm teaching them?
Right.
Who's gonna do that? Who's gonna help some of those souls that are like, I need something. What can you do for me, Joe? And like I said, there is a huge responsibility in it. I do feel like a therapist sometimes. There are times where my students come in and just want to talk, they're not even dance.
Yeah.
And I listen and we dance at the end and then everything's fine.
Yeah.
But then I go home with that, oh my gosh, that was so heavy. And so I do, it's a circle. It's a vicious circle. I use dance as therapy, but I also use dance as my therapy.
Absolutely.
I give it, I take it. So I do feel like I have a big responsibility to the community, and I wish other instructors coming into it understood that they do as well.
Yes, I totally agree with that, because I definitely feel like you find that with a lot of people that have been teaching for a while versus, a lot of, people that are just kind of coming in. Mm-hmm. It's all about, all right, let's do the pattern that I choreographed this week, and next week we'll do the pattern that I choreographed next week, and that's it.
And that's it.
And I think that's one thing that I've kind of learned over time as well, just sort of being in the environment and just kind of trial by error, is that sometimes, it is a therapeutic experience, and it's not always just about dancing steps. Mm-mm. It's absolutely true.
There is a huge human connection that happens. You're able to speak, you're able to touch, you're able to feel, and the music isn't even on yet.
Right.
So I think it's a big deal. Dance is a huge thing. It's a huge part of a lot of people's lives, and I wish it was cultivated a little better. Yeah.
Let me ask you a little bit about the social scene. So I've kind of throughout the course of the season kind of changed my opinion on, I guess, the professionals and their interaction with the social scene, because at the very start of this and prior to talking to so many different pros and instructors and everything like that, I always wondered to myself, why don't I ever see any pros out? When I first started dancing, I a little bit I did. I'd see Aubrey out, and I'd see, Mike out even. I don't see anybody out anymore. And I was not somebody that I've interviewed yet, but I did talk to a pro and mentioned it, and her answer was, the reason you don't see me personally out is because this is a job. This is a career. And there's so many people that are untrained and that will hurt you And if you do get hurt, you're out for 6-8 months and they just go on to the next dance. Therefore, I don't social dance. And that was the thing that made me get it finally.
If you, after hearing that, don't get it,
Yeah.
as a promoter, as a person who hires these people, if you don't understand that we are tired, we used to do it, but some of us are old as shit. But trust me, we'll do the job. We'll do the job. The social aspect of it is, I mean, like, let's take Daniel and Desiree. Let's take him, because you'll see him. Poor guy is in the circle with all these hyenas around him, and every 20 seconds he's got to dance with somebody new. He's drenched in sweat, and that was just one song with 50 girls. Is that fair? Are we just dancing monkeys to everybody? We do the videos, we do the class. If you are a true instructor and you study your art, and you come up with your own shit, and you have the time to go, okay, you have the stress of the dance studio, by the way. A lot of these instructors have dance studios too. They have a full-time dance thing. Now you want them to dance more? I get it. And back in the day, I used to do it. I used to do it a lot. And I used to also drink a lot. And so it was a party atmosphere all the time. I'm older now, so something needs to come down a little bit, you know? So what I do is, you know what my favorite thing to do during the day, besides, you know, teaching and everything, is socializing with the students, and at night, I actually love to talk to the ones that didn't go downstairs, the ones that are just sticking around. I love to catch up. Those are the times that we catch up. We sit in each other's room, maybe a little drink or two, and just release on each other. We can't do it with the students. We can't do it in our classes. Who do we have? They all have us. We're there for everybody, but who's there for us?
Yeah.
Each other. So when I get a chance to talk to anybody in the same circle as me, oh my God, it's like, wah! It's like a word vomiting with each other, you know? We're both like, you know, de-stressing and telling each other, do you go through this? Do you go through this? Oh my God, yes, I do, and I hate this. And then we're okay.
Yeah.
So just the same thing that the students do with us, we do with each other. And that's one of the things is, so you want me to teach, come up with this, then you want me to have fun after you just wanted me to do all of this work. Now you actually want me to genuinely have fun.
Right.
That's why a lot of artists started going, if you pay me, I'll do it.
Yeah.
Because I genuinely am not having fun. You know how, look at this. See my nails? They're short. You know why? I had to stop. Do you know how much time and effort it takes for us to do our nails, especially acrylics? And then all of a sudden for someone to come in not knowing how to spin and just yank them off, like it's happened so many times. Shoulders, feet, arms, back. Oh, my back has gone out so many times and I don't want to say newbies, because it's not fair for them. But for, again, those dancers that think they know what they're doing, and it's horrible. And for a follow, it's even worse.
Right.
Because we have to follow and sit there and just go, okay.
React, yeah.
So yeah, there are some tricks that I do, but yeah, that's why sometimes I actually started leading more, just so I wouldn't follow so much.
Interesting.
It's a thing.
Okay. Let's talk a little bit about your dance team at Phoenix. You mentioned earlier, 22 years in.
Yes.
First of all, what made you want to start a team? You're starting a business and a company, and it's a different thought process than just being an artist that dances, right? As artists, typically, you know, you're not really so business savvy. At least most of them are not.
Not at all.
So you really have to put yourself in a different mind frame to be a business person and have a thriving, you know, dance business that's going to survive, you know, particularly over 22 years. So what went into, first of all, your decision in deciding to do a dance team and start a dance company? And then can you talk about the longevity of being able to sustain that over such a long period of time?
So we started in 2000 with another director, and all the dancers in it, we were just dancers. We were not directing. We weren't even assistant directors. It was just one person directing it, and his choreography, his way, all the time. And so we started, doing whatever he did. And so, or he wanted us to do. So we started getting to a point where we wanted to do more. We wanted to create more. We wanted to be more creative. And so he didn't want to. And we were like, but there's this cool song, and what if we all did it together? Nope, it's my way or the highway. Well, we took the highway. All of us left. The entire team left. We had a meeting after we left, and we said, what do we want to do? The reason why we left that company was because there was no artistic or creative outlet. It was just more, I'll just do whatever you want us to do, and that was it. There was nothing for us. We were his minions. And it was a time back then where everybody was getting very creative. People were using the Matrix movies. They were doing themes. We were coming up with crazy tricks, crazy costumes. It was a crazy, awesome time. And this person didn't want to do that. And so we were like, you know what? We want to do that because we are like that. We think crazy. We want to do some fun stuff. And so we all sat down and we said, what is the basis of this company? And I said, or I don't even remember who said this or even if we said it, but we kind of basically knew it's not to be the best. It's not to do the most spins. It was to entertain. What we did was we would put together funny things to entertain via dance. Throughout the Phoenix career, new partners started coming in. And so every time a new partner would come in, the company would kind of take a different face. It would, so I think that's the secret to it is to, number one, the name. We were coming up with a name. And Kimiko said, it was a girl that was in our team. She said, well, what about the Phoenix bird? Or the Phoenix. She called, what about a Phoenix? No, I'm sorry, hold on. What about Phoenix? And I said, Phoenix? What do you mean, like Phoenix, Arizona? And she goes, no, like the Phoenix bird. I was like, what's a Phoenix? Oh, there's a bird? I didn't even know. She goes, yeah, the Phoenix bird means this. And she started telling me what the Phoenix bird meant. It was music to my ears. It's basically a bird that lives on for years and years and years, gathering knowledge, gathering information, and then it burns itself, and then it rebirths itself with the information still having from previous life, and now it's a brand new bird. And now it does it all over again with new information. So it's constantly reshaping, reinventing itself. So when I heard the word reinventing, I was like, that's it. I do that because I don't like doing one thing and sticking to it. Yeah. I like variety. I like to do different things. I don't like just one flavor. So when she said that, I was like, yep, that's what it is. So I noticed that with other companies, the thing that happened with them is that they stuck too much to only one thing. Dance doesn't stick to only one thing. Dance just keeps evolving. You also have to evolve as a dancer, as a company. So I've gone through 4 already partners that have taken this company with me and have turned it around. From Jose Santoyo, this is a totally different company now than it was with him. From Vince, totally different, same thing. I think that's the secret for us to staying relevant is reinventing. What is hot right now? Let's try to do that. Still keeping the same thing as we want to entertain. Yeah. So I hope that other companies coming in, what's your niche? What's your thing? Why are people going to go, I want to do that? Yeah. So I feel like our lucky break was that we are like the Phoenix bird, truly. So.
Okay, so we know where you've been for the last 22 years. Obviously, that's all documented. Where do you see a Phoenix 22 years from now?
Hopefully, I'm going to keep going. It's going to keep going somehow, some way. Yeah. I don't know how. I'm going to either reinvent it as something else, but I know that bodies get old, and we do have to look at other routes eventually. Luckily for me, what I'm thinking is that the knowledge that I have, all the material that I have in my head, hopefully will still be there, even if my body isn't. to where I can still be able to teach, instruct, mentor others in their journey. And so I'm hoping that I'm still around in another 22 years, still being crazy myself, and I can't wait to see what version I'll be.
Absolutely.
Then.
Do you have any interests outside of dance?
Yes, I do. I love making jewelry. I love making jewelry, whether it's from rosaries to rhinestoning, anything. I love puzzles. I love putting puzzles together. I love Sudoku. I love brain stuff. I'm a huge dog person, so anything that has to do with dogs, I'm in. I love food, so anything that has to do with food and drinking, I'm in as well.
Yeah, Vince said he wants to be a chef. I didn't know that.
Yeah. I didn't know that either. But no, that's good. Yeah, so there's, food for sure. Going to these different places and being so fortunate and lucky to be able to taste these different things, of course, it's amazing. So food has become a little hobby, a little too much. But what else do I like to do besides raise havoc and piss people off? I feel like dancing has just taken so much up of my life that even my hobbies are dance related.
Yeah.
Like the dance jewelry thing.
Right.
I do love going to musicals. I love going to Disneyland just to watch the shows. I love watching dance things. I love creating costumes. I love talking about dance. I think,
All in on dance.
I think so.
All in.
I'm trying to think, what else do I do? Oh my God, I'm so boring. It's all dance.
That's cool though. I mean, look, that's how you know if you're taking class with Joe that you are getting absolutely the best dance experience you could possibly ask for, because that's all she's thinking about.
That's all I'm thinking about. I go home and I really think about these students' journeys. Like I'm sitting there going, okay, what am I going to teach them the next week in order for them to continue their journey? So I do take my work home. I do. And that's something that I've been struggling a lot with, is how to separate it.
Yeah.
Because it's so embedded in me.
All right. I appreciate you sitting down with me today.
Thank you.
Wonderful conversation. I think we have been enlightened on a lot of different things. This podcast has really been just sort of about piecing together the story of the Los Angeles community. And it's impossible to do that without talking to all of the pioneers that were here and started it and have, continuously throughout the years stuck with it and continued to share their knowledge and their gifts and everything with the new generations that came after. So
thank you for having me and letting me say all these things.
Absolutely. We appreciate you. To everyone out there, thank you guys for listening, and we will be back next week with another episode.